Welcome to episode number 146, 3 critical tasks your website should do to increase sales. And if it doesn't increase sales, why would you have a website?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm Polly Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you ladies and gentlemen out there sell more products and services in the aviation world.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things, and the more we hear about websites and the more you read about websites, the more vendors you talk to and so on, the more things that your website is supposed to be able to do. And there's a lot of good and critical and not so critical things that your website can do, depending on the type of company that you have. So there's a bunch of things, getting found for specific keywords, providing a good first impression, educating prospective buyers, getting prospects to contact you, getting people to accept and confirm appointments, selling stuff, having a shopping cart, handling transactions, handling credit cards, having customers log in and get password protected information. There's all kinds of things that a website can do and possibly should do depending on what type of company you have. But for the purpose of today, we're going to narrow that down to 3, right?
Well, and those 3 all point to one thing, and that's another sale.
Exactly. That's true. And actually, you could go on for pages and pages and pages about things that your website could do to help you make sales and serve your customers better. But for the purpose of today, we're going to boil that down to 3 main things. Getting found for specific keywords, educating prospective buyers, and getting prospects to contact you. So those 3 things are pretty critical for just about every website. In fact, I've never seen a company that is in business that doesn't need to do these 3 things. Have you?
Not if they're in business to make sales and grow.
Exactly. Right. So you might say, you know what, I don't need all those fancy schmancy tools. I don't need the Swiss Army knife. I just need the basic stuff to get the job done. So that's what we've boiled it down to for the purpose of today's podcast. And that's about all we can cover in one podcast, right?
True.
Okay. So first of all, you want to get found for specific keywords. And this is like in the old days. Do you remember one of these yellow pages?
Yes, I do.
It's like a freaking brick. It's a monstrous pile of paper bound together. And I know some folks that are listening to this may not have ever gotten one of these. They may be that young.
See the big thick one on the bottom?
Yeah?
We used to make contests to see who could tear one in half the quickest.
Right. We used to use them for target practice.
I mean, seriously, you can tear them in half.
I believe it.
Without any additional tools or anything.
Cool.
Been there, done that. It took me a while to figure out. I had to watch somebody do it first.
There's a trick, right?
Not a trick, but an approach.
Okay. In other words, a trick.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So what the yellow pages used to be the way that you would find things, and I'm explaining this for the benefit of any young people listening. When you wanted to buy something specific, you would go to a thing called the Yellow Pages, which is this monstrous pile of paper that had all of the businesses in your city or town or whatever, and it was alphabetized by subject. So if you were looking for something in particular, you would look under, for example, right here, pipe bending and fabricating. If you wanted to find somebody who could do pipe bending and fabricating, you probably would do business with somebody locally. You would probably go to the yellow pages. You would probably turn to the P's, and you would flip through the pages till you found pipe bending and fabricating, and you would find that there is one company that does that, right?
Well, yes, to answer the question. But the problem with these yellow pages was, and the same thing you got with a website, except that it's worse. And the people that put it together didn't know what keywords to use on paper. So, I mean, I hated the yellow pages. I could never find anything I wanted.
Right, exactly. Well, and the nice thing about the internet, for those of us that use it on a frequent and regular basis, it can be just as frustrating as the yellow pages because there's a lot of companies that aren't listed where they're supposed to be. So you're looking for something in particular, unless you know the specific words that they're listed under, it's really hard to find them. But the nice thing is you can be listed in as many categories as you want on the internet.
True.
Or as are appropriate. You do have to convince the search engines that you really do have some content about that topic. So it is.
That was not true in Yellow Pages.
That is not true in the Yellow Pages. In fact, if you wanted to be listed in more than one place, at least in the Yellow Pages I'm familiar with, you had to pay for those listings or pay extra for them, and you had to actually buy ads. So they wouldn't actually just list your business in as many places as you wanted. And in some cases, they had like a limit of 3 or something like that.
Well, in any case, I never figured out really how to use Yellow Pages.
Right. It was an imperfect system, but that is what people use, and that's what a lot of people are still kind of familiar with in the world. So that's why we use that example. So how do you know what keywords or what categories to list your website under?
You have to be magical.
You have to be magical. Well, there's actually 3 bits of information that we look for. One is relevance, the second is popularity, and the third is competition. So relevance is something that only you know about your business. You probably know better than anybody else. You know what words you use to describe your business. You know what words customers use when they're looking for your business. You've been in this business for a long time. You've been talking to a lot of people. So you know that relevance score pretty easily. As far as popularity, you could not tell from the Yellow Pages how many people are looking under pipe vendors and fabricators versus any other topic, because everybody got the same Yellow Pages, and you can't, unless you spy on people in their homes, you can't tell what they're looking things up under. But welcome to the fabulous age of modern technology and the internet. So let's say you wanted to figure out whether people are looking for flight attendant school versus flight attendant training, both of which might be really relevant keywords for you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So then if we look, and we can run this report for you when we do a competitive analysis, we run a bunch of reports. And this is one of the things that we run for people. And in this one, we can tell that flight attendant school has 9,900 people looking for it.
So where does these numbers come from? Where do you get this data? You say run a report. Great.
Right. Okay. So this comes from Google.
Aha.
Okay. We use a specific piece of software that accesses Google, which 70% of the searches on the internet are done using Google, 70-something%, and it depends on the day. So more or less, and more or less depending on the area you live in. Other people use Bing or Yahoo or AOL, heaven forbid, or any of those kinds of things. But since Google has 70% of the data, it's a pretty good indicator of how many people are actually looking for a specific keyword. So if we know that 9,900 people are looking for flight attendant school and only 1,900 people are looking for flight attendant training, which category do we want to focus the most attention in being listed under?
Yeah, assuming that it's relevant.
Right.
We would pick the first one.
Right, absolutely. So, we decided we're trying to figure out between these 2 keywords which one we want to spend our time and effort. So, we know flight attendant school is better than flight attendant training. The next thing we look at is how your website is doing on those keywords versus every other competitor that you have. And we do up to 3 when we run this kind of report of your top competitors. So then we can see, okay, flight attendant school, this particular company is number 21. So if you type in flight attendant school, and then the first, second, third, fourth, fifth result are what shows up on the page as it comes up on Google. And then we have to scroll down to listing number 21 to get to this guy, right?
Yep.
Okay. There is somebody who's ahead of him. Their competitor A is number 18. So that's something that we need to do something about. If that were a client of ours and we were doing search engine optimization, or if we were in charge of their website, that would be something we would be concerned about, right?
Yep.
Okay. So those are, once again, the 3 things we look for: relevance, popularity, and competition. So relevance is something you have to decide for yourself with the help of your customers, of course. Popularity is something we can figure out with software, and competition is also something that we can figure out with software.
Right.
Right? Okay. Cool. So now that we know that, what do we do about it? All right? Okay. So we want to pick 5 to 7 keywords to focus on at a time. Now we could pick hundreds, but we're not going to do a very good job of qualifying for hundreds of keywords unless we have hundreds of pages on a site and a whole bunch of time on our hands to work with. So we want to pick 5 to 7 to focus on at a time. So usually 5 to 7 keywords a month that we decide to focus on. And then what we want to do is we want to create great content or make a great video or a great infographic or something else on that topic and post it to the website. So you only want to be actively working on 5 to 7 keywords at a time.
So once you get those 5 to 7 working, then the next month you pick another 5 to 7 and leave those alone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or if you didn't do a good enough job last month, or if they're really competitive, you might need to keep working on some of the ones from last month. But still, you're only actively working on 5 to 7 at any given time.
Even though you may have 20 to 30 or 40.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You probably have lists of many that you want to qualify for in different degrees of success, but you really want to be focusing on those 5 to 7 because that helps us do a really good job. Then you want to write great content or make a great video or an infographic on a topic that covers that subject.
Most of those keywords.
Right, exactly. So if we're working on 5 to 7 keywords that are closely related to each other, it might be just one nice piece of juicy, fabulous content, right?
True.
If not, we might need to do more than one different parts of your website in order to really do a good job for those 5 to 7 keywords. We also want to get links from other experts in that field. So one of our topics is flight training schools or flight attendant schools. Then we might want to get listed in some directories of flight attendant resources and things like that are similarly related but not competitive with what we do. So we don't want to go to the other flight attendant schools and say, I want you to link to my website, because they won't. But there might be some websites that have resources for flight attendants or blogs about that flight attendants write or other kinds of things that use a lot of the same keywords that can link to our content that we built. Right?
That's true.
Okay. Cool. So those are the 3 things we want to do. Focus on 5 to 7 at a time, write great content or build something fabulous like an infographic that everybody's going to want, and then get everybody to link to that.
Great.
So that's the simple answer, not easy, but simple, right? Okay, so that's thing number 1 that our website has to do is get found for those right categories. Thing number 2 that our website needs to do is to educate prospective buyers. Now, why do we need to educate prospective buyers? Why can't we just push our products and have people buy them?
Because they don't know anything about your product, they won't.
Right. In aviation, most of us have complex products and services that take a while, usually, to get through the sales cycle. Often there's more than one person involved in the decision, or they need to figure out if it works with whatever else they have, or how it's going to work for their mission or for the aircraft they currently have. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered before a person can make a reasonable buying decision, right?
Of course.
It took you a long time to buy. Actually, it takes you a long time to buy a lot of things. You're one of the more careful people that I know, but there's a lot of people in the aviation industry that have the same method, right?
I'm not sure what their method is.
Well, when you want to buy something, what do you do?
First, I look around to see what's available.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does what I want it to do, then I talk to people that own one, preferably.
Yeah.
And then I harass lots of dealers until somebody will let me try one or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I research it some more.
Cool.
Depending on price, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do that for a...
So the kinds of things that you're looking for when you're researching are case studies, facts and figures.
Not so much case study, but I want to know everything I can know about. As an example, we're looking to buy a Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Car, not airplane.
Yeah. Right.
Tesla doesn't make airplanes yet, as far as I know, other than the spaceship.
So we have done a lot of research, done several test drives, and talked to some gents from not only the store but the factory, and trying to figure some stuff out. But it's expensive, so when the time comes, it's just to walk down the store I mean, we've already got as a matter of fact, the way they sell, you go onto their website at the store and you design your car.
Right.
We've already got one designed. We're just waiting, as I do more research,
Right.
to make sure it's exactly what we want.
Exactly. But they do have a lot of data on their website, as does, pretty much everybody else that we shop from nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And there's usually a lot of customer success stories. We want to know who else has used this, with what kind of experience they've had with it. We want to know about reviews, who's had problems, what kinds of problems do they have.
As a matter of fact, we're been doing research as well on the Mac Pro, which is going to be an addition to the office as soon as the new one comes out, because we've done research for a while. We've talked to people higher than store level in Apple to get an idea of some of the things that it'll be capable of, and made the decision to do it as soon as it comes out.
Right. So, yeah, and
their website's great for that.
Yeah. And also you can do comparisons on their website, which is really nice, so that you know which model to buy. So a lot of folks, when they first start shopping for something, they don't know enough about it to even know what questions to ask. So we really have to help them with the materials on our website become as comfortable and educated as we can make them, so that they feel good about making the right decision.
As a matter of fact, I do business consulting as well, and I'm helping a client who's looking for a helicopter, and I can go to the websites that will actually compare multiple brands of helicopters and models, and what it does, as a matter of fact, it lists all the attributes side by side, and it says winner and loser.
Nice. So it's all about, is this the best fit for your mission or the best fit for your situation? Educating buyers is really important. Unfortunately, this is the way most websites are written. The world revolves around me. Or it's all about me, as my son's roommate jokingly says. When you look at the website, they tell the story of the company, the history of the founder, here's the people, and all that is great. But what should be on kind of front and center on the website is about your customers and the problems that they have and the problems that your product can solve. For them. And how this is going to fit into their life or their situation and make things better. So it really should revolve around your customer, not around you.
Which the websites I mentioned do.
Yeah, exactly. If this is your mission, then this is what you should be doing. Or here are some options to consider depending on other things that you need to take into consideration. So we talked about the 5 essential stories that aviation brands must tell. And a lot of those stories are about the company, but some of them are about the customer. And even the ones that are about the company, you want to focus that on why it's important for you. Why do I care? What's in it for me? What's important about this.
Be the prospective customer.
Exactly. All right. So educating the customer, that's thing number 2 that your website needs to do. Thing number 3 is to get people to contact you. And there are so many websites where you have to flip through 3 or 4 pages before you can figure out how to call somebody or email somebody or anything else. So we really like to see that front and center. And this is a website that we did for Sapphire Aviation Solutions. And you can see we've got a click to call number. If you're looking at this website on a cell phone, first thing you see is the call us today. You can use your thumb on the first thing that comes up and click that and call the number. So a lot of the people that go to your website found out about you through a referral or through a trade show or something like that. All they're looking for is contact information. They just want to talk to somebody. They don't want to read anything, right?
Right.
Okay. And then also there's other ways to contact them. There's the Let's Get Started, which has a little bit more detail about form that you can fill in about your particular situation or your particular job, so that they can help you with that. And some people like to connect through social media, so it's good to have those as well. And in the footer of every page, we like to have a postal address as well as phone number and email. And that way it's on every single page of your website. If somebody prints a page and hands it to somebody else, they've got your contact information at the bottom. There's no reason but people should not have that from any piece of information that you have. All right, so another thing that we can do is what we call a lead generator, which is a feature that we can add to an existing website, or a feature that you can add to your own website with a tip sheet or a buyer's guide or a video or a tutorial or any number of other things that you can put on your website. And we've got a list of 17 things that you can download from a tip sheet on our website, which is kind of meta because that's a lead magnet in and of itself. You have to enter your email address in order to get that list of 17 possible lead generators or lead magnets. So the reason for this is because there are some things that we can do. There's some software that we can use that will tell us what companies are visiting your website, but they don't necessarily give us the contact information for specific individuals who are interested in what you do. When you put together a lead generator or something that is behind a form that people have to fill out, then you're directly collecting contact information for people who are interested. So that's another thing that your website can and should do. They also should encourage people to pick up the phone and call you, email you. There should be multiple ways for people to contact you because everybody's different. Right? Okay. So what should my website do for me? If we're using the simple version, it should do these 3 things. And I have to tell you, of the websites that we've looked at, there are so many that fail at just these 3 things because they're trying to be the Swiss Army knife, and they just aren't worth beans because you can't, because they don't do these 3 specific things. 1 is to get found using specific keywords. 2 is educate prospective buyers, and 3, get prospects to contact you.
Yeah, the worst one we've come across was early in our startup days. They spent $250,000 on a website, and it was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. Beautiful.
Couldn't find it, and in about 3 years before they contacted us, they hadn't made even 1 sale.
Right, and that failed thing number 1. It was not found for specific keywords or really any keywords other than the company name itself. So if you didn't know the company name, you would never find this website. So failing any one of these 3 things and you are wasting your time and money on your website. So is your website due for a MRO? That's modernization, repair, and overhaul, right? And that is really appropriate for a website. We recommend it every 3 years because technology is progressing so fast that if it's been more than 3 years since you have modernized, repaired, or overhauled your website, chances are it is not doing those 3 things as well as it could. And there may be other things that it needs to be doing or should be doing that it's not doing very well, right? Okay. So you can get a free website audit from our website, which is another lead magnet. And we will give you our top 3 ideas for improving your website. If you could only do 3 things, here are the 3 things that we would recommend that you do, whether you do them yourself or whether you have us do them. We also do a competitive analysis with up to 3 competitors, so you can tell us who they are and who you're worried about, and we will tell you how you stack up for those categories and those things that we think you should be working on, right? Okay, or you can also just schedule a consultation with us if you'd rather just talk about it. So just click that Let's Talk button in the lower left-hand corner of our website.
And then click, if you're on an iPhone, click the button and call.
Right, or call 702-987-1679. If you're not on your iPhone, you'll have to write this down or remember it and call us back, right? Okay, so thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great day.